Welcome to Buckets, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. My name's Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network. Joined today for this Best Bets weekend episode by Sean Little. You can follow him on Twitter at Chicago Flow from MSG Networks. Sean, what's up?
What's going on, Matt? Man, I'm happy to be here with you and BA. It's our first time.
And as he mentioned, BA, Brandon Anderson, NBA futures analyst, who I asked for his best bets, and oh boy, did he give me some best bets. We'll get to all those. We will do the cap on those weekend games for both Saturday and Sunday, as well as we'll take a look at the series prices and how to bet the NBA playoffs here on a futures-ish Friday. It's not really a futures Friday. It's a futures-ish Friday. I want to let you know everything that we talk about today can be found in the award-winning Action Network app. Best way for you to track your picks. You get up to the second information where the bets and money are coming in on. All sorts of opportunities for you. You check out this podcast, Line Change, our hockey podcasts, Playoff Pitch, the baseball podcast, Action Network podcast covering all sports, as well as the NFL offseason and draft. The favorites, so much stuff. Green Dot Daily, our live show that to get your betting agenda stuff for the day. So much cool stuff. Check it out in the Action Network app. Let's go ahead and go around the table here, and we'll list our best bets for the weekend slate. Brandon's going to go last because his are long and convoluted. Sean's going to go first because his are to the point. Sean, what's your best bet for the weekend slate?
I'm going with the Tyrese Maxey's -5.5. I'm taking the Sixers.
All right. I have bets on, I think, 3 of the 4 games that we have lines on. I'll start with Sunday. I'm on the Kings money line, +270 at FanDuel Sportsbook. For the Kings take a 3-1 series lead for the Warriors. What could go wrong? I am with Sean on Philly -5.5 to sweep the Brooklyn Nets. I am on Milwaukee. I got this at -3. Brandon got it at a better number. I still like it at -5.5. And I'm on the LA Lakers -5 versus the Memphis Grizzlies in game 3 on Saturday. Brandon Anderson, give me the best bets.
All right, so let me start with my favorite here. I like the Bucks. Like you said, I got the 2.5. I still like it at the 5.5, probably more of a lean than a bet, like a half unit sort of play at that number. My best bet right now on that one, Bucks -1.5 games in the series. So Bucks to win, not in 7, is -130 right now. I think that is badly mispriced. We'll get there. I have a similar one in the Clippers Suns. I like Clippers +2.5 games at even money. That is effectively Clippers to win another game at some point. And I think that is definitely going to happen. So those are my favorite 2. I do like the Lakers in the next game. I like them because of LeBron. So I got more complicated here. Give me LeBron to score 35 in a win, +450. And then my favorite, but also not like, don't bet your mortgage on this one. Matt, I like the Kings in game 4, but here's how I'm playing it. Kings in game 4, up 3-1. The Warriors heroically go to Sacramento and finally win a road game. They come home. They blow the Kings out. They win game 6. It goes back to 7, Kings in 7. At FanDuel, our sponsor, you can play exact result outcome. Matt, I know you love exact result outcome. Give me Kings in game 4, Warriors game 5, Warriors game 6, Kings in 7, +1,700. Let's go.
I want to, Sean, this is the guy I have trouble getting on best bets because he's like, I don't know the outcome of any single game. Yeah. And then he's like, no, 4 Kings, 5 Warriors, 6 Warriors, 7 Kings. Like,
the crystal ball's out. The crystal ball's working right now. Sometimes it's a little dinged up and broken. Right. Sometimes it's looking very clear.
Let's start with the easy one on here before we get into Brandon's third eye being open like Kyrie. Let's go to the Sixers. Sixers -5.5. So the numbers that I've looked up on this have been really positive in terms of being a favorite on the road in these kind of games beyond the first 2 games. If you're a road favorite, honestly, in the last handful of playoffs, it's gone very well for you. So one of the things that I looked at was if you're this is from Evan Abrams. If you are on the road, these teams have won at a really high rate as a favorite. Like that's just been like if the market thinks that you are better, you have won, and that's been like a high opportunity. Now I think the game 3 was the better spot. We just cleared that thanks to the turnover late. Thank you for the turnover, Nets, and so we covered in that one. But for me, we have the trend. Evan Abrams posted this. We've talked about it on Green Dot Daily. Teams that gone 44-0 until the Suns last night And if you won, you covered. If you were a dog, obviously you covered the number and if you won straight out. But if you were a favorite and you won the game, you also covered. So you should be just laying the points here. We've got that trend going forward. The Nets, I think, like the Nets, this is my read on the Nets watching them. If there's a tactical adjustment, I would be like, yeah, for sure. Like they could just go do this. I don't think there's a tactical adjustment here. They know that. This team's entire body language is like, what do you want from us here, man? We got thrown together because KD wanted out. Like, we're not even supposed to be here today. Like, we're not even supposed to be here. What do you want from us? Joel Embiid is the largest man on the planet, and he's flopping, then kicking people and not getting ejected. Our guy flexed and got ejected. What are we supposed to do here? So I just don't know that the Nets there's no collective identity for the Nets to be like, we're a team that fights. They don't know who they are. They don't know who they're going to be. They don't know what their future is going to be. None of these guys know they're going to be in Brooklyn after the summer. Maybe Mikhail. That's it. So to me, I'll lay the points. Sixers going to sweep here, -5.5, Sean.
Bing fucking Matt Moore. That is dead on across the board. And it's not that the Nets aren't trying. They really are trying. They're out there playing hard. They just don't have enough. Every time they've played their best stretches of ball, I've looked up and been like, okay, they're playing pretty well here. And it's like a tie game. It's like Sixers Nets 30-30, right? Go back to game 2. Cam Johnson goes crazy in the first quarter. He can't miss from 3. He's dunking on Embiid's head. Tie game at the end of 1. Then also the thing, just like you alluded to, Jacques Vaughn is still trying to figure out who he wants to play, what he wants to do, the rotations. Seth Curry plays 20 minutes in game 2, DNP in game 3. Joe Harris plays 17 plus minutes in game 2, less than 5 in game 3. He's still just trying to throw things out there on the floor and trying to figure out what sticks, and nothing is essentially sticking at the moment. You can even go to game 3. Harden gets ejected. Embiid only scores 14 points on 13 shots. You get 46 from Bridges and Dinwiddie. Cam Johnson continues to play well at 17. Nobody can see Maxey. They end up, the Philly with the late turnover ends up covering the number. But every time the Nets are playing their best basketball, it's making no difference in the series. They just flat out don't have enough. I don't see how these guys could get up for a game 4 at home. The only thing that worries me a touch is the game is at 1 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon. I believe the Philadelphia 76ers have enough veteran leadership and are ready to try their best to make a big push here in the East. So I think they'll be ready to go early. Harden played really well before he went out. So, yeah, I like this to be done, dusted. Give me Philly -5.5.
I needed the numbers, so I just pulled them up. Since 2003, if you are up 3-0 and favored in game 4, 14-4 straight up, 12-6 at 67% against the spread. So the numbers are pretty positive for us there.
Yeah, I just think the last fight was last night.
Yes.
Or in game 3. That was the push. They really tried. They were playing their best. I think Claxton yelled in Embiid's face and stepped over him on purpose. Like, hey, we're really going to try to get a W here. We're at home. We're in Brooklyn. We're going to try to push here. Yesterday, game 3 was the slot. They weren't going to be able to get it done. I don't see how they don't.
They were like, we're going to bring him. We're going to bring the fire and the passion,
exactly.
The emotion. The officials were like, nope, nope. Yeah. That's not what you're going to do. That's not going to happen. Brandon, I know that we're going to get to very soon all of the bad things you have to say about the Philadelphia 76ers, because people think I hate the Sixers. Whoo, boy, the text I get from Brandon about the Sixers are wild. Brandon, though, like, do you have any reason to like the Nets in this spot?
Yeah, red flags galore on the team. And the face I made when you said veteran leadership on this Philadelphia squad, Sean, oh boy. But I agree, Sean, all the things you said about here's all the stuff that the Nets did and still could barely even stay tied in the game. On the flip side, sub 50 EFG, they got killed on the offensive glass. Claxton outplayed Joel Embiid and then got ejected for doing so. And they still almost won the game. Like, you can do that both ways. That said, yeah, I don't know why the Nets show up here. Like, and not to say that like they've been trying hard. That's not even a critique of them, but all the stuff Matt said, this team is not a team. This team is just the collection of misfit toys. My only pushback is this. If you like Philly here to close this out, are you better off playing Brooklyn Nets team total under 101.5? That's the number. We're under in 3 for 3 games right now. Brooklyn can't score, guys. Like they got nobody can make points for them. So if you like Philly to just close us out and think Brooklyn is just donezo, is that the safer play or are they both safe plays?
I think it's because we're talking about a number that's low enough to where if it's 4 and the Nets season is on the line, essentially, they'll probably foul, right? You get 2 free throws, get to 6.
Sure.
I feel like if we look at the range of outcomes, most of the outcomes lean towards a cover, right? Like, do most of the outcomes lead toward like what's the percentage of outcomes that lead towards a Nets win? What's the percentage of outcomes that lead towards a Nets loss but a cover? And then what's the range of outcomes that lead towards a Sixers cover? And like, there's a huge, I feel like, swath of those. Like, I feel like this could be a blowout, a comfortable 10-point win, a late backdoor cover with the free throws. Like, there's all sorts of scenarios where I could see the Sixers getting the cover here. So
I think I agree with that. I think the reason why I would consider the team total under rather than, and then this is just a pass game for me, but I think the Brooklyn Nets could win a game, but still go under the 101.5. So that would be the reason is if the Nets won, I don't know that it's necessarily because they had this amazing game as much as just Philly didn't show and maybe Embiid labored through injury or got the midnight suspension or something.
I mean, I guess that the argument here would have to be that Sixers shot variance went the other way from the first game, right? Like the Sixers just missed everything, and so the Nets get a grinded out win. But part of me is like, I mean, I keep waiting. I don't understand how Embiid's not destroying this team. And people are going to be like, well, he's getting triple team, Matt. He's getting triple teamed by midgets. They're all tiny. He has more turnovers than assists. Everyone talked about his playmaking in the series. He had more turnovers than he had so many turnovers last night. How is he not? Like, I'm not putting this on, like, not even comparing him to Nikola because that enters into the whole MVP conversation. Like, Bam would have double-digit assists. Like, Bam Adebayo would have double-digit assists in this series. What are we doing? Anyway, let's move on to more competitive series. Let's talk about Milwaukee, Miami, because we got some best bets on that. So, Brandon, they popped this line at 2.5. I'm at the arena when that notification hits my Slack from Joe Delara. And all of a sudden, like, so to run you back through what I was going through, I have spotty internet at Ball Arena, and some things work and some things don't on the Wi-Fi. So I had to try and get on the cell signal amidst a huge crowd to try and do this. And I'm like frantically, like the game's going on. I'm like, ooh, good pick and roll defense. Head down, like must get Bucks -2.5. And I missed out. I got Bucks -3, but I'm still pretty okay with that. Got that in as soon as I could. It's moved to 5.5. The market was like, are you insane? Like Giannis almost plays in game 2. Now it's game 3. He's got another 2 days of rest. And you think that this should be Bucks -2.5. I took it because I think that there's value on the number. I might middle this if I get an opportunity. I am more bullish on Miami than you are. Not surprising. Like, maybe the only team you like less than the Sixers. You said that you would only play a half unit at the 5.5. Let's talk about that differential and why you think that that's important as a distinction, why these 3 points of value matters, and about this conversation happens a lot in betting podcasts, where if you're in the betting space, you're going to get the better of the number a lot because we're in these conversations constantly. How do you weigh the value of the number here? And why does 2.5 matter more than 5.5, more than just the 3 points? And how confident are you that the Heat win this game? And then we can talk about your series pick.
Yeah, I think that the number matters. Just even 5 to 5.5, like those extra half points. Now you talked about even in the last game with Philly, Brooklyn, what happens if we're close down near the end? What if it's a 1-shot game and now Miami takes the shot, they miss, and now they have to foul? Well, to go from 2 or 3 points to 3, 4, 5, like that's all in range. 5.5 is just high enough for me where it's like, okay, well, we were on maybe a 2-possession game or we had to foul multiple possessions, or it's not football. There are no key numbers here, right? But it's in a playoff game. It's just high enough for me to think twice about it.
I will say, and we've done some research on this, and I need to post an article on it. 4 is getting to be a pretty key number. I wouldn't call it a key number. It's not like football, right? It's not like definably 3-7. I will say that 4 is turning into a bigger one, where if a team is up 4, they'll let it go. Like, if a team is up 4 under 10 seconds, we're seeing a lot more teams be like, especially depending on the squad, right, and coach. A lot of times, though, at 4, they'll let it go under 10 seconds. So, like, 4 to me is getting to be more of a key number. I wouldn't call it key-ish, trending towards key, but that's like.
Does that
that's
change in the
there.
playoffs, though? Does it get a little more convoluted in the playoffs? That's where it gets, you'd have to run a bunch of numbers. But yeah, I mean, when it's 4, it's not one possession anymore. But the playoffs, it can get a little sticky.
I agree. So that's the question is like, would they foul at 5 versus would they foul at 6? And those are the two questions I think you have to answer.
Well, and I think too, Miami just plays so many close games. Yeah. Miami's entire story of the season is having a close game at the end. So again, where 5.5, that matters a little more for Miami to me than it would for an Atlanta or someone like that. Atlanta, who really cares? Like, just give me the Bucks and let's get this over with. But 5.5 is like, all right, here are the Heat. They've been trailing by 14 all game, but they're grinding and they're a great fourth quarter team. And Jimmy scored another one, and we're back to within 7. The game is over. But like 5.5 is high enough where the Bucks stopped trying at the end because they had it in hand, and now the Heat scored a couple, garbage time buckets, and they backdoored the cover. It just, the number is just in a range where, as good as Miami is late, where I'm like, all right, I still like Milwaukee here, but that's why I pivoted more towards a series play, given where the number went.
Why do you like the series play? Let's talk about that.
So Bucks -1.5 on the series. I thought that this line would be a -2.5. And obviously you can play the alternate numbers, but a -130, this is the primary line. So Bucks -1.5 means the Bucks win the series, not in 7. What are we doing? This is the 1 versus 8. Unless I am badly misreading the Giannis injury news and he is potentially out for multiple more games still, this is not a reaction to, wow, Milwaukee made all the threes in game 2. They're so much better. Like, I don't really care what happened in game 2. I told you after game 1, I didn't really care what happened in game 1. The Bucks are way better than the Heat. They're way better at almost everything. The Heat have not been good for a long time. The Heat have not played good defense for quite a while. The Heat also are starting to get banged up by Brook Lopez on the interior in game 2. That was something I wondered after game 1. Will they say, hey, Brook, stop spacing and start just jamming on dudes? And then we started to see that he scored 25 in game 2. So no prop lines yet because of Giannis, but Brook Lopez overs is another spot I'm looking for. I just think that there are multiple tiers between these teams. And for this bet, Bucks -1.5 series not to come through for me, Miami has to win 2 more games. And I don't know if I even see Miami winning any more games. They're coming home. So sure, I can give them credit that they can find another way here. But I don't know. Miami pushed Boston to 7 last year. They came within 1 shot of making the finals. I know they have the heart. Jimmy Butler is awesome. And if this bet doesn't come through, it's because Jimmy Butler was the best player in the series. And I think that's possible. Even if Giannis is mostly healthy, I think that is possible. Jimmy is that good. No one else on Miami is that good. And I just don't see how the Heat have enough to push this to 7 or get the series win.
They won game 1. 1 second.
Sean. No, yeah, go ahead, Matt.
The Heat won game 1 with shot variance. The Bucks won game 2 with shot variance. And so game 3 is really like, is in this kind of spot. The one thing I will say, like, I'm on Bucks here because I think the number I got was good at 3. If Giannis gets cleared to play, let's say that they're having this, right? That it's like, I don't know. Let's say that this jumps to 7. I'm going to middle it. At 7. Like, I will, if the 5.5 is reflective of Giannis, I'll stay away. But if Giannis is ruled in and this number jumps to 7 or more, I will absolutely come back in on the other side, because for me, Brandon, this is not about wanting to, like, your thing is like wanting to play against Miami and I'm wanting to play against the Bucks. Like, that's where this comes in. Is I agree with you on like a lot of what you said. And I'm just like, this is the type of team that Milwaukee, it's like, how are the Bucks in a 2-point game with this team? This is exactly, I've learned my lesson. That's why I have Bucks futures and just leaving them alone. And I like the number when I opened, but I will definitely try and middle this. If this is 7, I will go back the other way, because I do think that that's probably too many. And I think that Miami, like, I just do not, my thing is I do not trust Milwaukee to handle that much of a number on the road versus a team that is I don't even know. You're not wrong that they're not good. They exist in this liminal space, Brandon, where the Heat are neither good nor bad, nor trustable, I don't know what they are. They're just the Heat. Sean, what do you got?
That's a perfect segue for me, Matt. I agree with you wholeheartedly, BA, on the series -1.5 games. And Matt, what you just said is, I think the reason the number is -1.5 on the series and why we're talking about potentially the Heat being able to compete at all in this series. I agree with Brandon. I don't know if they win any more games, let alone push the series to 7. Now, there was a tweet from Bill Simmons maybe 6 weeks ago, and he said, "Oh, what do you know? Your prize for being the number 1 seed in the East is getting Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat." And in the tweet, he added Pat Riley. Like Pat Riley was going to go out there and shoot corner threes. So what I'm saying is that the public perception of the Heat culture, they can't play. They're not going to get run off the floor by the Milwaukee Bucks because they're the Heat and they have Eric Spoelstra. I think that carries a little too much weight on where we're at with the Heat. The Heat have been pretty bad a vast majority of the year. They had a real shot for the Bulls to come in there and take care of business and actually steal the 8 from them, and the Bulls are horrendous. So I think it's just a lot of, I don't want to call it lazy, but people believe in Spoelstra. They love Jimmy Butler. I haven't come across anyone that doesn't like Jimmy Butler, right? So they don't mind backing guys like Jimmy, Spo, and then the whole Heat aura gets us in this spot. I think the Bucks -1.5 is a very good play to take a look at, because I don't see how the Bucks specifically allow this to go to 7 games, especially without Tyler Hero and what they did in. I mentioned it previously. They scored 130 points in game 1. I mean, that wasn't yes, it was shot variance, Matt, but it was top insane shot variance. They'll never do that again. Come close to that. Jimmy Butler had 15 field goals made. He hasn't done that all season. So yeah, I'm with BA here. I think the Bucks take care of business, especially in less than 7 games.
I slandered Brandon for his overly convoluted bet. I will say this: if the Milwaukee Bucks win game 3, I will be betting Heat +2.5 on the series spread. I will absolutely be betting them to get another game in the series.
Well, why not? Why not both then? Why not take the Bucks -1.5 and then try to middle on the other side, middle the series that way? And honestly, to me, the Bucks -1.5 series actually is me making a less confident bet on game 3 and giving the Heat some credit, saying, look, maybe the Heat do steal another game or 2. Maybe the Bucks give away another game, but yeah, I don't see it happening enough times to get to 7. I guess it can't be 2. I misspoke, but this is the bet of me saying, yeah, I think the Bucks could just blow one of these somewhere along the way. They give up one of the games in Miami. I don't know when. This is me picking on the basis of the next 3-4 games that Milwaukee wins out as a better team somewhere along the way.
Let's go to Memphis and the Lakers. I will say this. I can't find any book that will let me parlay this. If I could, I would take Lakers in game 3 and the series to go over 5.5, maybe 7. Like I might look at Lakers win game 3, series goes 7. To me, I like Lakers -5 here. This is pretty simple. It's 4.5. Money's coming back in on Memphis, probably based off of the idea Ja's going to play. I don't know that Ja's all that impactful in this series. You got a guy that attacks the rim relentlessly and doesn't have a reliable jumper. Hit some big threes in game 1. Thought that was big. But he's got bad hand going against great rim protection. That's like one of the things that the Lakers can do really well is protect at the rim. And that's where Ja wants to do most of his damage. That's a problem. Okay. I like the other guards being able to attack the Lakers a little bit better here. An easy angle on the Lakers would just be Anthony Davis will play better. I don't know if I believe that. Like, it's Anthony Davis, like we're going to constantly be like, what a dominant performance from Anthony Davis. Isn't he one of the best big men of all time? And then say fucking nothing when he plays like he did in game 2. It's just going to be fucking crickets. For some reason, he's the only big man that gets a pass when he plays like that. But I think Lakers role players shoot better. Memphis role players shoot worse. This is pretty simple here. Is like Memphis needs to hit threes. You always need to hit threes to have a variance game versus the Lakers. They don't take a lot. Memphis doesn't have great shooting. They have Desmond and they have Kennard, but Kennard's the type of guy that I think could struggle on the road. Desmond could have a bad game. That variance play to me is enough for me to get on the Lakers -5. I think Ja coming back actually messes up some of this. I think Vanderbilt probably plays better at home. I don't like Rui's now done it in 2 games where he's put up 20. I got no reason to think Rui's going to play worse at home. I'm going to be on Rui over points, rebounds, assists in this game again. Brandon Vando hit last game on the over on rebounds. I think like I'm considering like I am considering doing the individuals plus putting like Rui and Vando rebounds combined over into something here. Because I think that they actually both will produce on that end. The Grizzlies got a really good game in game 2 and a really terrible performance from the Lakers, who played like, we got the split. I don't want to take it away from Memphis. I think the Lakers should not have done that. I don't think the Lakers are good enough to be like, yeah, no, we'll let you have this one because we got the split. You are not that good, sir. I will like the Grizzlies in game 4, but I like the Lakers here in game 3 and to cover -5. Sean, what do you think?
No LeBron comments? No, nothing. You just gloss over the whole LeBron situation here with our guy, the wrestler. I won't even say his name. We know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, I think I don't think Anthony Davis is getting a pass like you mentioned. I think people are all over Anthony Davis for a guy that there's a difference when you just have a bad game and when you're not engaged and look completely disinterested. And that's exactly what Anthony Davis did. I don't know if it was because he got hit in the eye and that gave him a little bit of trouble and maybe that pulled him out of his game a little bit, but he only had 4 free throw attempts. That's completely unacceptable from a guy like that. But yeah, going back to LA, they look like they did in game 2 because I do think that they felt like they took care of business. We split. We get to go back to LA, and that's where we'll be able to take control of the series. And when you talk about rim protection, LeBron James is protecting the rim as well. So that's another guy that initially we wouldn't think would come in and try to block shots and contest at the rim like he has been. So yeah, I agree. I like the Lakers to go home. I think it's a interesting series, just game by game. This is probably the series I'm having a hard time just breaking down game to game because the Lakers have been inconsistent all year. The Ja injury, and there's a lot of different noise surrounding game to game.
I just feel like over 5.5 is still a really good play at this point. Like I just think that playing the over on games played based off of the assumption that the Grizzlies are too banged up to get distance from the Lakers, and the Lakers aren't good enough to be consistent enough to beat them handily. So, and the Lakers are getting a bump from the market as they always do. That's kind of my side on it. Brandon, what do you think about the series?
Yeah, as a noted Lakers fan and lover and better, I was really disappointed in the game 2 effort. Honestly, it was a pretty pathetic Lakers effort. It's exactly what both of you said. It was, we got game 1, we're good, we're fine. And I get that. And a lot of teams are going to do that. We've seen that in other games. We will see it again. I just didn't think LeBron at age 38, knowing that the margins are thin with this team, knowing that Ja Morant is out, and you can go on the road and win game 2 and clamp the series down. And the Warriors are down 0-2, by the way, as this game is happening. So like the path is open, blood in the water. I bought in on LeBron just showing up, and I thought it was a passive game from him. It was a terrible game from Davis, 13 points on 4 of 14 from the field. Xavier Tillman took it to Anthony Davis, guys. Xavier Tillman, 22 and 13. My man, Michigan State. I love that. This was totally a home crowd role player energy win for Memphis. And they keep doing it. Every time Ja Morant is out, everyone's like, all right, well, Grizzlies are done now. And then they can't keep winning without Ja. And then they just do the home crowd role player energy thing again. All that said, my pick on this for game 3 is 1,000,000% a narrative play. We got arguably the worst regular starter in the NBA talking smack to the greatest player of the generation. LeBron is going to show up and ask for Dylan Brooks to give him all the smoke and then take it down his throat the entire game. He's going to come out swinging. He's going to come out putting up points. He already brought up this is effectively his Los Angeles playoff debut. They didn't make it in last year. The year before, it was at home, but only with like a quarter of the fans in the stadium. This is the first real deal playoff debut. LeBron at home in front of the home fans with a guy, Dylan Brooks. This is the LeBron agitator now. Dylan Brooks is the reason that LeBron's going to not put up big points and get the win. So I played around with some different same game parlays, 30 points in a cover, 40 in a win. 40 is a little too far for me looking at the numbers he's put up this year, especially with the pace on this series and the scoring overall. So I settled on 35. LeBron has scored 35 in a win. That's not a cover, just the money line. He's done that 9 times this year out of 55. So about 1 in every 6 games. So that's around the number we're getting here. Probably get the Dylan Brooks agitator on top of it. So this is just totally all right, nobody in the world cares more about narrative and legacy. And like, we already can hear in your brain the LeBron interview after the game. Oh yeah, Dylan Brooks talked it up before the game. We showed up and I put up the points, like the whole thing. Like that's the LeBron story that he wants to be told. So give me LeBron to put up a big number, get the win, Lakers get back on track.
If I could find a way to bet against you on this, I would bet against you on this. I think this is a terrible take. So for starters, LeBron is literally the greatest scorer of all time. He considers himself the greatest player of all time. Like LeBron has spent more time this week thinking about whatever productions in Hollywood his team has going, his business investments, than he has about Dylan Brooks. Like Dylan, you reach a level to where like LeBron doesn't take things as personally as like Kobe did. He just doesn't. He's not taking this personally from Dylan. He's gonna be like, whatever. Dylan's never won anything. Like, what do I care? I'm LeBron James. I think it's more likely he doesn't. I think it's more likely he has like a mediocre game and they get the win. And it's just like, oh, look at LeBron, 25, 5 and 5. What an incredible performance. When it's just like, yeah, you played fine. Like you played fine and they won. A good example of this, like, never done the dunk contest. It seems like a weird parallel, but think about it. Like, doesn't have the drive to like add that to his, like he wants everything on his terms. Like everything has been very specifically built to be on his terms. He's never operated on anybody else's terms. The only team that ever got under his skin, was the Celtics. That was the only team that ever did. And that was because they couldn't beat him. He knows he can beat this team. So I'm not worried about the Dylan Brooks angle on this. I will probably not play it because LeBron, the home crowd factor I like. That's a good angle. Like that's a narrative play, but I don't think Dylan Brooks has anything to do with what happens in this series. On Sunday, Sacramento Kings take on the Golden State Warriors. I'm playing the Kings here, plus 270. First road playoff game for De'Aaron Fox. First road playoff game for Keegan Murray. First road playoff game for the Kings as a whole together. A lot of young guys in that environment. Obviously, they didn't shoot well. The Warriors' backs against the wall. No Draymond. Played great, played fantastic. That game was still in doubt within range in the second half. Like it took a late run and the Kings let go of the rope. I think they played better. I think they actually go up 3-1 in this series. I'm willing to go ahead and play the money line. Don't want the spread. I'm just playing the money line plus 270. Give me the Kings, Brandon.
Yeah, I still don't totally know what I think of this series, which is fun because I literally gave out a bet expecting that I know everything that's going to happen in this series with all 4 games left. So I texted you last night, Matt, about this. What did we think of the Kings? Was it something schematically that wasn't working? Was it just execution that didn't show up? A thing that I noticed looking back, watching a little bit back, Steph had 6 threes that game from 28 feet or more. And we just shrug because it's Steph and who cares? But the Warriors had a lot of shooters out there and from further out. And I think it's not a coincidence that when that happens in the game, when Steph is shooting from even further beyond the arc, is also the game when Kevon Looney is getting an offensive rebound like every time that he breathes in the paint. You're pulling the defenders out, you're stretching the defense out, and now there's all that space in the paint for Looney to eat the glass and for the Warriors to get some of those easier buckets, get the drive, get to the rim. I think that's more Warriors basketball. I think it was actually a tactical adjustment here that they did. And yeah, the Kings, I don't know, it just fell off in game 3. And maybe the off is just, they lost the home crowd energy. And certainly we saw the role player thing flip. Malik Monk went from like unguardable bucket to basically a total non-factor in game 3. So I think some of that stuff evens out. It feels to me like this is a bet whoever you like to win game 4 to win the series, right? Like it feels like if the Warriors get this, then it's back to 2-2 and they're going to feel pretty good and we're going to feel pretty good about them. If the Kings get it, they're up 3-1. That feels pretty good. So I looked at that because you can, of course, bet that game 4 and the series. The problem is the Kings are plus 270 in the money line. They're only plus 300 to win game 4 in the series. So I don't need the extra 30 cents that much to risk the Warriors 3-1 comeback. Like that is always going to be in play with the champs, with Steph and Draymond, Clay, etc. So yeah, I think it's going to be a fun game. I don't know what version of Draymond that we're going to get. I don't know if we get the overly emotional version, or often we expect that, but after he comes back from a spot like this, he often has honestly like a masterclass of a game. We forget now that 2016 finals, game 7, Draymond was absolutely incredible. Like one of the best games he has ever played in his career in that game. The Warriors won game 3. The Warriors won at home with the role players, but they won a physicality battle. I don't know if they're going to do that every game. They won on the glass. They won the turnover battle. I certainly don't think they're going to do that every game. And they got the home whistle. They'll probably do that again. But yeah, Matt, like you said, I don't know if this necessarily is just like, all right, they got everything fixed. It's fine now. It's the turnovers, all those things. It felt like the Kings are still only down 12, guys. It's the mid-third quarter. They've played like garbage and they're still right there. What if they hit a couple of shots? And they didn't. They didn't hit the shots. And then the Warriors hit a couple of shots and that was it. But it was weirdly inverse of the first couple of games where the Kings felt like way the better team. But the Warriors just kind of hung and they hung and they hung. So now I don't know what to do with it because we have 3 games. We have 2 games where the Kings looked way better and it was basically even until the Draymond ejection. They played even. Now we have 1 game where the Warriors looked way better, but they blew them out at the end. This kind of is just a generic series in some ways, right? The favored team blows the opponent out at home. The underdog squeaks by at home. In a weird way, what have we learned so far? Like I've talked myself in circles, but am I crazy to come back to that? Sean, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the Warriors flat out forced the Kings into tough shots in game 3 in San Francisco. That was the bigger difference. There was a lot of easier looks, especially from De'Aaron Fox, who continues to go crazy. But yeah, I mean, it is interesting. We talked about that in the last Buckets, BA. For everything that was going for the Kings, you look up and they're up 3 points with 4 minutes left. So Looney's in foul trouble, Draymond's ejected, and Clay comes off the screen, and it's a 1-possession game. So yeah, they weren't able to get it done. Kings go up 2-0, but yeah, they get back to San Francisco. It is back and forth. You can't underestimate the desperation that the Warriors were coming into this game with. I think that's why the line was 6 at 5.5, 6 points, depending on where you were looking at it. Similarly to what you saw from the Cavs versus the Knicks in game 2. Just a completely desperate team. You saw it on the defensive end, and that's exactly what you saw from the Warriors. The Looney not being in foul trouble was absolutely massive. 12 boards, 6 offensive rebounds in the first half. He ended up with 20 boards, 9 offensive. The game was, I don't want to say over, but they stamped the game early, and it was on Looney's back. Curry was moving off the ball like it was 2015. He looked sensational, looked ready to go. Yeah, it's a back and forth spot. 7.5 feels heavy to me in game 4. Like Matt said, let's get the playoff game 1 out of our system. De'Aaron Fox tried to will him by himself, couldn't get it done. I would love to see Sabonis be up around that 20-point number. Sometimes I think he's deferring a little too much, especially on the road. They're going to need him to score a little bit more with the inevitable drop off from Monk and the rest of those guys. Yeah, interesting spot here in game 4. I believe 7.5 is too many.
So a couple numbers here. Both teams struggling in half court in this game. 87.2 in non-garbage time over cleaning the glass for the Kings. That's 22nd percentile. The Warriors were at just 87.8. They were 0.8 points per possession better than the Kings in half court. It really was transition. It was that the Kings turned the ball over a ton. They had a huge amount of turnovers, and the Warriors dominated in terms of scoring efficiently off of those turnovers. It was havoc ball. Now, like, that's Golden State's identity, and I get that. Are the Warriors going to have such a great turnover percentage themselves? Are they going to turn the ball over so little? I know the Kings going to turn over the same. Maybe, because it's a road environment again. It's not like it's suddenly not a road environment just because it was the first game, right? Which is why, like, I don't want the spread here. It's not just because of the trend of teams that win cover. For me, it's like, no, like, if everything kind of neutralizes back to even, I think the Kings win this game, and I want the payout on plus 270 if that's the case. Otherwise, this is like, the Warriors are gonna win, and they're gonna cover. I think. Look, here's one of the struggles is that here's Domantas Sabonis in this game, 15 points, had 16 boards, had a 28.6 turnover percentage. Sabonis, when he's on the court with Steph, they get destroyed. I can't like. Again, this is another one of those series where I wish we could bet plus minus, because I just want to be like, I would be Brandon taking the alts. I would be like Sabonis -9, Sabonis -15, Sabonis -20, like all over the place, because they get destroyed every minute that Steph's on the court next to Sabonis, which is going to be most of it. They lose, but the Kings have enough lineups that will win. So Monk probably plays better. I think the bench plays a little bit better. They don't get as rattled. Like Davion Mitchell, rookie or second year player, first playoff game, 1 of 5 from 3. Right, Keegan Murray 1 of 3.
Wide open looks too.
Yeah, Kevin Huerter 1 of 6 from 3. Shot variance, all this kind of goes their way. It's enough for me to get plus 270. Final game of
wait. I'm gonna make my case for my crazy bet.
Oh, okay, make the case for this insane.
I'll keep it brief. By the way, Sabonis, no props up yet for this game. He's had 4, 3, and 6 turnovers the 3 games so far. 2, 4, and 4 assists. So I think Sabonis turnovers over or assists under once we get some lines. Keep an eye out for that. Matt, I'm basically playing the bet that you made. I agree. I think the Warriors most likely just win this game. If the Kings manage to keep it close and win, in basically the case that you made, my bet is Kings to win game 4, Warriors win the next 2, push it to 7, but the Kings get the job done at the end. So I'm basically... this is my version. This is my alternate lines version. This is my escalator, because what happens if the Kings win game 4? If the Kings steal game 4 on the road, it's 3-1. It's dynasty on the line. It's this core's final game. It's the last dance. It's all of those things. And we've seen how the Warriors respond in that spot. And this is a series that looks very coin flippy, to be honest. So if you have that extra motivational, they can't win on the road, guys, they haven't won on the road all season, like all the stories that they'll be hearing. And you said LeBron doesn't respond to that. The Warriors respond to all of that stuff. They're listening to all of the stories. They're going to hear all of it coming into game 5. They keep it alive. Game 5. Now it's 3-2 coming back to San Francisco. That is like we back the Brinks truck up on the Warriors in that spot. Like the Warriors blow out the Kings game 6 at home. Now it goes back to 7. It's in Sacramento. And I wonder if by then maybe the Warriors run out of gas. Matt, you've talked about that over the course of the playoffs, maybe even just by game 7, the way that the Kings have opened up the gas in the second half in these series. That this scenario is the longest outcome scenario on FanDuel, 17-1. I just think basically it's plus 270 to win this game, but it's okay if that happens. If the Kings do win game 4, how do I think this plays out from there? And I think the most likely way it plays out is that way, where the Warriors fight heart of a champion game 5, win game 6 at home. And even if they get to game 7, they'd have a spot to hedge out and lock in a big profit there. But I think that's the path, if the Kings win this, where the series goes from there.
I want to argue against you because it's insane, but like there's reasons, there's logic. I get it. And I'll
take it.
I will let you victory lap if you hit it. The last game that we haven't covered yet, we don't have any best bets on it. Phoenix taking on the Clippers. Look, I don't know. What am I supposed to do with the series? Like, if Kawhi comes back and just moves the Clippers -2, 3.5 point bump towards the Clippers. That makes sense to me. That's about right. I'll bet the Clippers. I think the Clippers will win plus 2.5. I'm tempted to do it now anyway. I think if they go down 3-1, they could still win in Phoenix. They already did it once. I don't think the Clippers are the better team. So I have started thinking about playoffs through this lens. There's 2 questions you have to answer in every series. Who's the better team? It's Phoenix. Is the gap enough for them to win if the matchup isn't theirs? And on the other side, are they close enough that where if you have the matchup advantage, can you win? The Clippers are close enough to the Suns that if they have Kawhi, the matchup advantage is enough for them to win the series. Again, I'm begging, pleading on my knees, Ty Lue, play Robert Covington for the love of fucking God. You're killing me. Just put Robert Covington out there. You need one forward. Like, it's one of those where like Ty Lue finally goes small and doesn't play Zubac down the stretch. Like Ty Lue goes small. Yes. Ty Lue plays 5 guards with Terrence Mann at center. No, like so close, Ty. Need them to play Robert Covington in small ball 5. Don't know if it's going to happen. It's weird to see Lue like missing this very big tree in the forest, but Brandon, if Kawhi is available and I will wait for the line to move, I'll try and get ahead of it. But like if Kawhi plays, I like the Clippers. If Kawhi doesn't play, I'm going to stay away. That's my entire thing on the series.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense, but I think that there's more to the Clippers here. And I don't even know if it's more the Clippers as much as less to the Suns, but like I am just continually thoroughly underwhelmed by the Suns in this series.
Yeah.
They're up 2-1. They win the games, but against no Kawhi and no Paul George, against just a bunch of 4th to 7th men on the roster. That's what the Clippers are right now. It's a bunch of rotation guys headlined by a guy that like half of the league has paid to get away from their team, Russell Westbrook, who's been incredible this series, by the way. Credit where it's due. He has been awesome. In that game, Durant played 42. Booker played 45. Old man Chris Paul played 41. They're running out a 6-man rotation against a team of backup like rotation guys. How is that happening? They're barely getting over the line despite Clippers had 18 turnovers. That's a huge advantage for Phoenix. Phoenix had 15 offensive rebounds. That's pretty good. Phoenix shot 46 free throws in this game. 46 is a lot of free throws. And if the Clippers like make one more shot at the end, then suddenly LA is up 2-1 and we're going, oh my gosh, what's happening right now? Like, I think that we're underreacting to how lackluster Phoenix has been against even like a semi-competent team in this series. So I do have a best bet on the series. I gave it out before. I like Clippers plus 2.5 in the series. Clippers plus 2.5. It's even money right now, plus 100. That means Clippers win one of the next 2 games. That's the bet. Similar here to the Milwaukee-Miami thing we did earlier. I just don't think that Phoenix has enough separation from the Clippers to have any reason that I shouldn't expect the Clippers can take another game. I think both of these games remaining or more, hopefully if my bet is right, are just going to come down to shooting variance, and it's going to be close most of the way. Like Booker has been incredible this series. Durant is scoring. And it's just like, all right, 2-possession game, couple of minutes left. Let's see what's going to happen here. That there's no separation, and it really worries me if you can't separate here. So I think the Clippers win one more, or at least have a very good chance. You can play it right now. So the Clippers are plus 700 to win the series. I don't know if I think the Clippers are really going to win. I think that number is wrong. And you can get a better number if you play Clippers in 6 and Clippers in 7 instead, which is the exact same thing. It's the only 2 ways the Clippers can win the series, guys. That's at plus 3,000 for 6 games, plus 1,200 for 7 games. Play that instead, you get plus 816 for the Clippers to win the series. I think that's a bad number. I think the Clippers can win the series, and we're not even factoring in the fact that Phoenix is playing 3 dudes who don't make it through the playoffs healthy every second they can handle, and there's a liability that KD or CP or something. I don't wish it, but guys, we're going to get 2 months of these guys playing 40, 45 minutes a game. I don't know, man. I think the Clippers are live in game 4. I think they're live to push the series along. And I think they are still live to win the series. They can win in Phoenix. They can win at home. If the shots fall, they can win the game.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, coming into the series, we knew the Suns weren't very deep, right? But I'm with Brandon. They have been completely lackluster. They're playing tons of minutes and have had huge games from Devin Booker. But then Josh Okogie, Damian Lee, and then Torrey Craig are the kind of the outliers that are getting big minutes. We haven't seen Shamet. We haven't seen Terrence Ross. So yeah, I mean, I knew the starters were going to be under pressure to produce and play a lot of minutes. Are they going to be able to hold up? They haven't shown that they've pulled away at all in this Clippers series whatsoever. And they've been getting off to slower starts here in the first quarter as well. They have home court. And yeah, it's been lackluster from Phoenix. I personally dismissed how thin Phoenix would be. And now we're seeing it live and in color in the playoffs. And I am a touch worried because I did pick them to come out of the West.
Okay, I have a couple thoughts here. One, I think you got to be cautious with the Clippers stuff, with betting the Clippers, because Kawhi's not going to unsprain his knee. Like, he's not going to unsprain it. Paul George is not coming back. And the matchup still is very good in the Clippers' favor, but I don't know if it's enough. Like, the margin for the Suns is just so much wider than it is for the Clippers. If there's, Kawhi plays game 4 up, no, he's out for game 5. Like, at this point, we can't really have value him. I think if you are going the route that Brandon is, and you're questioning the Suns, which I think is like a good thing to do based off all these reasons, you probably just want to start looking at West futures. There are books right now that are offering round of elimination, so you can go to some of these other ones, right? So you, like, if you want to make a bet on somebody else to come out of the West but lose in the finals, or to lose in the conference finals to get past Phoenix. If you want to bet on the Nuggets I think the Nuggets will beat the Suns because the Suns are not deep enough and they're having to play all these guys and they don't take any threes, but then the Lakers will do what they always do, which is beat the Nuggets in the playoffs, whatever it is. Or you just bet the Lakers. Like, find one of those other angles if you're buying into the idea that the Suns are vulnerable, which I agree with. They are. Like, them playing all these minutes is really bad. On the other hand, what I will say is you don't want to go so far. We do this a lot where we're like, look how much trouble they're having in this series, let alone when they face the next series. That's dangerous. Don't go too far down that road, because what you're doing then is you're applying the same framework of a matchup to matchups that are entirely different. Denver is a way, way, way better team than the Clippers. Like, they are a demonstrably better team on every level. It's also a different matchup. The Clippers are able to switch everything. The Clippers, I guess, can play small ball when they play Terrence Mann at center. But, like, the Clippers have all of this shooting. Denver has shooting for sure, but it's entirely different. You think Ivica Zubac is a problem in defensive coverage? Well, Nikola Jokic is up next, and he's way worse. So, like, don't get so caught up in the idea of fading Phoenix now. You want to fade Phoenix for the duration. I think that tracks, and that, Brandon, honestly gets back to your pre-playoffs best bet, which was Eastern Conference. Like, that's where I get back to on all this, which is, if the best team in the West is having to play Devin Booker 45 minutes a night, dropping 45 and 9 to get past the Clippers without Kawhi and PG, then even if they're better than the Nuggets or have matchup advantages, none of these teams are touching Milwaukee or Boston. So, like, that, we just return back to what we were talking about then, right, Brandon? Do you see what I'm saying there?
Yeah, no, I agree. I just my interpretation of what you just said is if the best team from the West, all the things you just said, then they're not the best team from the West. That's the takeaway for me. I don't know. The books are assuming Phoenix is the best team in the West, and by like a real margin. And we've done that basically since the trade happened. And we all bet it at the time to bet Denver. We all looked right at the time and said, I don't know. I don't know if Phoenix is that much better now than everyone. And we just haven't changed the pricing on it. That's the bet to me is, I don't think Phoenix is the best in the West by a margin. I don't think they're best in the West. I don't even know if they're like top one. Like, I think they're just very much in the mix of a bunch of fine West teams that can win any given night.
You're right. I gotta stop right here, and like, I have to list the prices at FanDuel for the Western Conference because they're hilarious. The Phoenix Suns are plus 165. The Denver Nuggets, who have done nothing but look awesome, like outside of a quarter of basketball, are plus 300. Then the Golden State Warriors, down 2-1, are plus 410. The Lakers in a 1-1 series are plus 850. The Grizzlies, the 2 seed, are plus 1,000. The up to 1 Sacramento Kings are 10-1. And then the Clippers plus 3,900 and the Wolves plus 23,000. Like, I know that so much of this is built on handle. I get it. I absolutely get it. I understand why this is like why these numbers are the way they are. I'm not sitting here saying like stupid bookmakers. I get why they are where they are. It's just really funny when you look at this and you're like, Denver is almost twice as long as the Suns when they're like taking care of business, and the Suns are scrapping with the Los Angeles Clippers without Kawhi. The Warriors
and you'll have to go
like,
to Denver.
The Warriors are like trying to get through here. And they're the third favorite. The Kings are up 2-1. Everyone's talking about them. They're still 10-1. It's amazing.
So my point, Matt, I don't remember. You had a segment that we did on Futures Friday. Since this is Future Friday-ish pod, let me close the Suns argument with that. You had a segment, I don't forget the name, early in the year that was basically like, what's the one bet that please don't make right now? Do you remember the segment that we did? And I gave out Jason Tatum to win MVP. Please don't bet that.
Yeah.
Whatever that segment was, please don't bet the Suns to win the title or the West right now. I just don't understand why that can, not that they can't win it. I'm going to get clipped into oblivion and, please don't bet them. Brandon's a moron. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker is not a good number. Do not bet the Suns that we're seeing right now at the number we're given right now. I just don't understand how that can be the right bet given the thinness we're seeing on this team. The thing we talked about all last year, they are not shooting 3-pointers. They're hitting every shot in the world. Booker and Durant are hitting every midi, and they're still barely getting over the line because 3 is still greater than 2. And the Suns are like one of the last teams that has yet to admit that. Torrey Craig is the only one bailing them out on 3s. He has 8 the last 2 games. I think the entire rest of the team has 12. There are just so many reasons to doubt this profile. They could still do it. Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and CP are great. Yes, I listed 3, not 4 names there, but I can't bet it. I cannot tell you in any good conscience to bet the Suns to come out of the West or win it all at the number they're at. That, to me, if I could give anything on the podcast, that's my best bet. Don't put your money on the Suns futures tickets right now. That's my best bet I can give you.
Celtics to beat Nuggets at FanDuel Sportsbook in the finals, 18-1 right now. Almost as long or longer than Kings to win game 4, lose game 5, lose game 6, win game 7. Let's start wrapping up for Buckets. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have yourselves a great weekend. Enjoy the games. We're back on Monday. On Sunday night, we'll have best bets for Monday. On Monday, we'll have a weekend recap as well as our best bets for the Tuesday slate. Our thanks to David Payne, our producer, for putting together a long episode on a Friday. Have yourselves a great weekend. We'll see you again next time. Till then, let's get buckets.